Yeah! Yeah!
Enduro racing can be a pretty challenging and sometimes grueling time. But there's something about having to earn all of your turns, manage your pace so you have enough in the tank to finish the day strong. It just makes finishing these things so rewarding, I keep signing up for them. If you're interested in trying but aren't quite sure what to expect, here's a list of 10 things I personally took away from my first year of racing enduro. About 85% of your race is going to be climbing. But don't worry, it's not timed and it doesn't affect your race results. Yes, a majority of Instagram posts and videos on YouTube you see of enduro races are of people shredding downhill, but they don't usually focus on the uphill portion.
Came all the way from those trees down there. Holy shit. Good?
Half the time I was excited to race the stage because the time downhill portion I would almost consider my break between climbs, which is probably why I never podium.
I'm very tired.
That being said, spending so much time in the saddle means you should be comfortable. Take the time to get a saddle that agrees with your butt, because the last thing you want to deal with when you're suffering your way up to the top of the mountain is sitting on a brick of a seat. You should definitely get some big climbs in before taking on an enduro. Coming in straight off the couch into a race is going to make for a bit of a trudge fest. That's speaking straight from experience.
Yes.
My last bit of advice on this is don't be afraid to make a climbing buddy on the way up. Having some casual conversation passes the time and makes the climb shorter, and you can also complain about it on the way up together.
I am dead. Yeah, I need a 10-minute break after that one.
I first started taking race day nutrition into account after racing a few triathlons. The constant fueling that goes into triathlon translates right into racing enduro. Now, I'm no expert in nutrition, but I'll share with you what I've been doing that seems to be working pretty well for me. My nutrition kit includes 4 things: energy gels, these cookies, an electrolyte drink, and plain water. The energy gels are probably the most important thing to me. It's not like they give you a burst of energy to peel out all the way up the mountain, but they kill that heavy burning feeling in your legs as you climb so that you can settle into a rhythm and focus on your breathing and cardio rather than just how much your legs suck right now. I recently did a race with no gels and it was just the worst.
I will never do another race again without gels.
Then there's the cookies. These are what fill that pit in your stomach when you actually start to feel hungry. 1 cookie is enough to keep you going for a while without eating anything heavy. I like these a lot because they satisfy any hunger and they're super light, preventing any side aches or unnecessary weight in your pack.
I need a cookie.
The electrolyte drink helps prevent me from mentally fading and to keep your muscles energized and avoid cramping. It's a great supplement to plain water as it replaces sugars you've burnt off quickly as you sweat.
Hi.
Hydration.
And of course, water's there for doing what water does. When it's sunny out, I'll easily drain my Camelback by the end of the day, so ration it accordingly. I've also learned to always pack just a little extra than you think you'll need, because there's a good chance you'll end up using it. It's better to have an extra gel or 2 left over at the end of the day than to run out with a couple hours left in your race. If you guys have any of your own thoughts or want to share what works for you, please put those in the comments below. I'd love to see what others are doing to keep their energy levels up. As always, you'll need to be able to fix any mechanical issues you might have out on the trail, especially during the downhill portion. People who are in the middle of a race, unless if they're awesome, selfless individuals, most likely won't stop for someone fiddling with a flat. So you need to be able to pack the essentials to get you back on the trail. And yeah, just the essentials. You don't want to bring every kind of tool and backup of those tools on your ride because that's going to make your climbs a little harder all day. So I'd bring just enough to make necessary repairs to get you down the hill. This is what I usually bring with me. A multi-tool? Plugs for any flats, but not tubes since I'm running tire inserts. A CO2 setup since setting a bead with a hand pump is the worst. Zip ties wrapped in duct tape because these can hold anything together for a short time. And a quick link. It's pretty uncommon to break a chain, but if you do, you're kind of dead in the water. A quick link is like, what, an ounce? So I just throw that in just in case. Again, the beauty of enduro racing is that the climbs or transfer stages aren't timed. This means that you're able to go at your own pace that you feel comfortable going at all day. Take breaks when you need to and save energy for the descents, but don't slack off too much because there's usually a cutoff time for the entire day. If people start to pass you on the climbs, you shouldn't feel bad about it. I mean, at this point, it's not a race, right? Don't feel inclined to be the first at the top as it won't help your race results, though my next point here might be a direct contradiction to that. "99% of the time, dropping into the first stage of the day is the longest wait. Some enduros will release riders from the start at like 10 to 20 minute intervals to try and remedy this, but in most of my experiences, they've released the majority of people at the same time. This means if you make it to the top last, you're in line behind the entire field, which can make for a long wait at the top. So if you don't want to be stuck staring at someone's back tire for 45 minutes, maybe it's best to hustle up the first descent to get a good spot in line. The rest of the day usually spreads out, so after stage 1, the waits aren't as bad. So you're ready for that long hot day in the saddle, equipped with sunscreen and all. About 2 hours into your first climb, you didn't notice, but you've sweat off 90% of that stuff. Bring just a small amount of sunscreen to at least recover the tops of your arms and the back of your neck. I was a hurting unit after my race I did in Big Sky, Montana, because the day started off wet and raining, so I didn't put any on. But then contradicting the forecast, it cleared off before noon, so I was baked in the sun all day. I really wish I had just a little bit in my pack that day. Also, it's always a good idea to take at least a little TP with. Chances are you won't need it, but if you do, you'll be so damn happy you have it. If you follow this next point though, you should be able to avoid this altogether. Yes, it's always a good idea to be punctual, but there are a few benefits of getting to your race early. Getting there early means you can beat the lines when it comes to picking up your packet, especially if you haven't grabbed it days prior. Also, there's a good chance to score any free swag before it gets swiped up by all the other racers. I don't know about you, but when I try to rush out the door, I'm almost guaranteed to forget something. Getting an early start gives you enough time to gather your things and thoughts before you head out the door to your race. You also have enough time to make any necessary pit stops before you head off onto the mountain, where things might not be as convenient. Lastly, some people grumble, but it's a good idea to make it there for the riders meeting. There might be some info you need to know about, such as course changes, how not to get DQ'd, and aid station locations. If you're nervous about doing your first enduro race, think about making your first one a local club race. Most of the time, they're more chill than a bigger series race will be, both in course difficulty and attitude. People are there to enjoy the race experience and have a good time. Ask fellow riders about which races they like in the area and why. That's probably the easiest way to figure out which race will be a perfect fit for your first experience in enduro. It went without fail this year, but at every race I went to, there were puppies. So if you're a dog person like my wife is, then this should be a little added race day bonus. And if you're a cat person, sorry, no cats yet. Enduro racing isn't the easiest thing in the world. The transfer climbs are long, the downhill sections can be downright daunting. You may have a spill here and there, but if there's something that I've learned this year, it's to always push to the finish, even if giving up sounds like the best thing in the world. Now, if you're gushing blood or passing out from dehydration, please call it a day. But if you still have it in you, push through with grit and keep going. You can walk those scary obstacles or even be the last one to cross the line, but I will say there's no better feeling than crossing that finish line at the end of the final stage after a grueling day. That sense of accomplishment is what keeps me coming back to these damn things.
I am so happy that's over. Oh, that was one hell of a race. Oh, I don't even care.
So there you go. Those are just 10 things that I learned during my first year of racing enduro. It was a super awesome time. Sometimes I really wanted to quit, but you know, I'm doing it again, more so this year. So there's something fun about it. Can't quite put my finger on it because sometimes it really sucks, but it's great. It's a fun time. If you guys have anything that you want to add to this list that I made, shoot them down in the comments. Like, What do you do for nutrition? Or why do you actually hate enduro? You tried it once and you're never gonna do it again. Or just have any questions about it, leave those down in the comments. Let's start a conversation. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, be sure to check out my races playlist because I covered the highlighted races throughout this past year. So yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, check those out. Have fun. Wait for the snow to go away if you're in the northern climate. And yeah, as always, guys, thanks for watching and keep that rubber side down. The coffee's too hot.